So, good evening, dear viewers of Mind Academy. And yet again at 6:30 Saudi time, 9 p.m. prime time, Indian Standard Time, and of course, 7:30 UAE time in Gulf, and to the people and the viewers of Mind Academy channel from different parts of the globe. I take this opportunity to welcome you all once again to this Mind Race program. The same breath, I would like to welcome the founder director of Mind Academy, Shri Murli Krishnan sir, also for this discussion session. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Bala. Good evening, and good evening all the viewers viewing this channel across the globe.
Thank you, sir. So, as we discussed over the last week, still it is exams and exam situation prevails across the globe. Be it grade 10, be it grade 12, be it kindergarten. It is what it is across the spectrum. And as we were discussing in the last meeting, it is an ecosystem which makes things good for few, slightly challenging for few others. So here we are back in Mind Race, discussing one more aspect of the overall process or the ecosystem. I remember as a kid, what stayed in my mind is the support system which stayed with me throughout, although they were not technically qualified enough to clarify the technical questions of it. But whenever I used to get up at 5 in the morning, my father used to be up with me. Whenever it is an late night study, he used to be by my side. Hardly he understood what I was going through, but what mattered was he was there when it mattered. And that is what we are going to discuss. Because to be with the children, one must be prepared, especially during the exam season, so that the student may go through a different thought process. You never know. But when they need you, if you are available as a parent, then that's all it matters for the children. And now I can realize that shoulder of support, which a parent was there, made all the difference. Now, this has to be a calculated process. I never knew how this has to be done. And today, in our Mind Race session, that is what exactly we are going to take us all through, that how parental preparation is going to be a key impact in a student's exam process. So, welcoming you all once again. So, let us start from the first aspect of it. Murli sir, what are your thoughts and views? How much of an impact or what kind of an impact does a parent play in the overall exam process when a children is attempting, be it whatever grade he or she is attempting, sir?
Thank you, Bala, for this question, and I'm happy that we are taking this session when our children, parents, teachers, all of them are going through this exam fever, as
Exactly,
we
sir.
Also. And I think you started off with a great positive note, and that is what it is all about when it comes to parenting. Be with them, as you rightly talked about your dad who was with you when you grew up, especially during the exam time. I would say that it's not only just, the problem when we talk about exams is that we take it as something very different step from the overall learning process. When we talk about final exam, this is something that is going to be kind of end of life kind of scenario, is that we project always exams as. But actually speaking, the transformation process that we want our children to go through, parents play a major role. And what role they play is exactly what you said. Being with them, that is the role that parents has to play. Even for exams, it is more about being with them morally, physically, emotionally, to ensure that the child goes through this phase. We are the support system. Like, parents, teachers, the school, the society, everybody plays a major role as far as the support system is concerned for the students. And parent is the prime support system when it comes to children during studies, as well as especially when it comes to exam. Of course, when you talk about the impact, yeah, it has got a parents has got a great role to play in creating an impact. But sometimes what happens is, like, even when they study, parents tend to do things for the children. But one thing is for sure, parents or teachers, they cannot go and write exam for the children, right? So what they should do is to give enough support, so that they can have an open communication with them, understand what they go through, give moral support, help them prepare a plan, help them study. But it's not that parents has to go to study and do it for them. So it has to be in such a way that children feel confident that they have someone's back always them, to support them and pull them up when it is required. So the impact that they can create is tremendous, just by having a physical presence, just by having an emotional connect, just by having that moral support, not putting them into too much of pressure. As parents, we all must know that every child is unique.
True, sir.
So you can be more impactful if you are able to understand who your child is. As a parent, it's very important. You may have like a son, a daughter, or two sons or three sons, whatever it is, but they are not all the same. Even though they are
Agree.
from parents, even though they belong from the same home, both of them or all of them are not the same. They are all unique, and everyone has got some unique characteristic. Everyone has got some strength, some weakness. So as a parent, if you want to create an impact, if you want to create a mark, if you want your children to see you as a role model, what is required is to be with them, as you rightly said, understand them, understand what their strength is. Any parent's role is to bring up their child in such a way that they are independent after some age. So exam is just one byproduct where they go through this transformation process. So more than this exam, yeah, for exams, it's all the more important because that is a stressful period that they go through. It's all about being there for them physically, emotionally, and mentally. So that's what I would say when it comes to the impact part as a parent.
Understood, sir. I think that throws up a wider look into the overall process, sir. Generally, as you rightly said, it has been always myopic in the process when it comes to probably a student's perspective, that you get more serious when it comes nearer to the exam and you don't have an overall picture. But I think it is the same case with the parental point of view as well. Like, things become so serious when the exam is around the corner and you take the pedal of the accelerator when it is far away. And exactly that's what you pointed out, I guess, sir. It is an year-long process and it is a continual process. So it's not of an one-off theory where exactly right before a week of the exam, you put all your energy and focus, you expect wonders out of it. And understanding and realizing your word is all the more important. And every child of yours is unique and different from their own distinguished way. Excellent, sir. That is indeed a thought-provoking insight. And exactly with the same point, if I have to hold on, sir, it is an year-long process, and exams are just a small portion of the year-long process. Now, as they build up for the exams, what do you feel should be the right approach every parent should be working around? As you rightly said, every kid is unique. For some students, it could be very easy on some spectrums. For some students, it will be slightly challenging on different points. Like for a student who's good in maths, history could be a different thing, and drawing could be a challenge for some other student. So as a parent, prior to the exam, on a whole through of an year, what should be the preparatory process and parents should be going through, sir?
Yeah, well, we always, have heard this famous quote, like, well planned is half done.
True.
And this must be applied to our students' learning curve as well, because even though we are talking here when it comes to final exams, but actually the preparation starts 1 year before. It's a year-long process. If you take a specific grade, because since we are talking about a grade, that particular grade starts from day one and it extends for a full year, right? So as
Absolutely.
parents, what we can do is we have gone through this process many times, and as working professionals, we must all be doing various sets of planning. It's easy for us to do planning things well in advance, and ensure that we take this task in a very meaningful way, in a very productive way, so that it helps the children to pass through that phase or pass through that hurdle called exam. So in this aspect, as a parent, we can help them manage their time. In our program, we always call it as self-management.
True, sir.
Even though, yeah, for people who listen to us now, since they don't know about self-management, we will stick to that common word called time management. Many times we can help them, what is to be prioritized, the how important it is, how urgent it is. Those kind of things can be applied, and make them a schedule and see how he or she can progress well in advance. And this should start not just on the previous day of the exam, but should start 1 year before, or for the overall year. And also, second important thing is, like, an open communication, as I rightly pointed out when for the last question that you asked me. Understanding them, understanding their strengths and weakness is quite important. You, in your question itself, you mentioned about, like, for some max is easy, for some max is difficult, for some chemistry is easy, but for others chemistry is difficult. And same goes well with any other subject. Some of them, they like languages, some of them they don't like languages, and those kind of things are there. So it's very important that we understand what strength your child is having, and then set a plan accordingly. So these kind of things, as a parent, it comes handy to us, because we have gone through this as parents, rather than sitting with them and studying the whole math subject for him or her. Doesn't make sense.
True, true.
But instead of that, make them responsible, because when we talk about exam, it's not just scoring some marks. Unfortunately, this is where we go wrong. It's all about going through the process. It is also about planning. It's also about preparation. It's also about learning. And all these aspects of exams, children are to be used in future as well. This includes planning, time management, prioritizing things, and understanding where your strengths are, understanding what your weakness is, giving more time to your weak subjects, trying to go through your strong points in a very faster way, building a strategy, having a common goal. All these things are areas where parent can create an impact when it comes to preparation before the exams. But many times what we have seen is, the mother or father, they sit with them, study maths, chemistry, physics, and all those things. But there are much more that we can do. And if we do in a very meaningful way, it even helps the child to study in a better way.
Got it,
So
sir.
solving a max equation, you can solve it because you've gone through it, but helping them how to solve it
Understood,
makes
sir.
a difference. So exams are all about making students or making children feel responsible about who they are, taking the ownership of that whole process. And we as parents should help them, should support them with tools that can take them forward and get good marks. And so this could be a overall process, not only just for exams. When we touch upon exams, generally it's not just for exam. It is equivalently applicable to anything and everything in life that we have around.
Understood, sir. I think that is an very insightful point which you are making up, sir, because understanding your child and setting up a plan, and not necessarily you should be part of what the learning goes through. It is making them accountable and responsible for what they do in that process. I think that will empower the students more than anything else, I believe, sir. I think that is a very important point which the parents can make a note of, whomsoever is watching now, because that is what is going to make the difference, rather than just being a competitive student, making them an accountable and a responsible individual. I think that is what will be making them different from the rest. Very well put forward, sir. And now, sticking with the same line, sir, now this very point which you have made is going to be the difference, because what adds up to the so-called factor called stress is the expectation aspect of it. Probably, if you can just shed some light on, sir, how a parent can calibrate the expectation process, because it is an year-long thing. Just the exam, parents will have some thought process. It is knowingly, unknowingly, something goes into the system, sir. It could be genuine, it could be far-fetched. So how a parent should be calibrating the process of expectation from his or her child when it comes, especially for exams, sir? What's your thoughts and views on it?
That's a great one, Bala. I was reminded when you asked this question, I was reminded about one of our turning point sessions where, what happened was we had this screening session. That during the session, we were asking the student about what he want to be in life. And then all of a sudden, the parents started answering that, my father wanted me to be a doctor, but I couldn't. I want my son to do that. So this is the angle with which generally parents come from. So my message to the parents who are all listening to this is like, be realistic. That's the key. There's a famous saying that goes like, if you judge a fish by the ability of climbing the tree,
it will fail always.
So that's what it is, Bala. So it's about having a meaningful expectation, having a realistic expectation. And this all boils down to how, I always use this word called family as a unit. Okay. Every family should have a goal, in terms of children going into different career aspects. Have meaningful discussion, understand, what they want to be, understand what they like the most, because, you may want him to be a doctor, but at the end, being a doctor and not enjoying that profession is of no use. It's not that, many times what parent thinks is that once entering into a career, that's what it is. Actually, the life starts after that.
Agree, sir.
100 out of 100 in a particular exam doesn't mean anything. Exam is not the end of life. Or maybe it's just the beginning of life.
True, sir.
I think 2 weeks back when we had the session, I think it was DTM Kotis who was mentioning about, it just gets you a good, decent enough entry to some career. That's all it has to. And maybe even that is applicable only for, engineering and those professional degree marks and all. Seventh graders marks, I don't think it's applicable, or it's as valuable as anything when it comes to marks. Getting a decent score of 90 or 95 or 100 is quite enough. So, but many times we see that they all want to get 100. For what? But rather than that, it's all about how much of transformation it has happened when they went through that process. They learned so many things. Even if the child can learn one good thing and understand the application side of it, that is what is going to make him or her different. So learning, and learn whatever you want, but whatever the subjects that you like the most, spend more time in it, understand what it is, understand different facets of that particular subject. So this is how it will take you forward in your life. So my earnest request to the parents is like, be with them, you may have some, your brought up has happened in a different scenario or different circumstance or different situation, but that doesn't apply to current age, and this is applicable for any generation. The way through which a parent has grown up is totally different from the next generation who is going through. So we cannot apply our rules or apply our yardstick to the next generation. So it's important that sit with them, understand what they need, set meaningful goals, set realistic goals. I'm not telling that they will be able to select any career based on. So here is where the communication part comes into picture. So this meaningful discussion and setting realistic goals is key in calibrating the expectations. Understand what they need, understand their passion, understand their interest. It's, as I rightly mentioned, it's not just entering into that career. Unfortunately, many times what we see as parents is, where they can reach. Even they're least bothered about what happens once they reach there. Actually, the life starts after that. It's not just scoring marks and reaching there. So my question to many parents is that think beyond and see, how your son or daughter is going to make a mark in a career that he or she enters. So how enjoyable he or she will be in that particular career. So calibrating the expectation, I think that should be the key area. A meaningful discussion, a realistic goal is what is required, and a proper strategy to reach there.
Understood, sir. Very well put forward, sir. I think parents who are watching this show should be looking forward for that meaningful dialogue, which is realistic in nature, as you rightly said, sir, because that is what is going to help both of them as a unit to be contented and move forward in a way so that they reach where they intend to reach, sir. Very well put forward, sir. Now, hanging on to the same spectrum, sir, the crucial part of the overall process during the exam. So far, we were discussing about before the exam, prior to the exam, how they will be setting it up. During the exam, the critical part of the overall process, what could be the do's and don'ts and parent can look forward to engage, sir? Because that is a period more than the student or the child, it is the parent which goes through an anxietal process of what is going to happen, and that is where the make and break happens, the expectation sets out. So what should be the actions parents should be preparing themselves, especially during the course of the exam, sir?
Yeah, Bala, this is another key area where parent can play a major role. But what is that aspect that parents should be taking care of is nothing related to the subject, physics, chemistry, or maths. It's all about ensuring that your kid is having a nutritious diet, enough sleep. If there is any distractions, minimize those distractions. Ensure that they get enough good number of breaks in between, because it's not just study, study, and study. Breaks are very important to refresh themselves so that they can learn fast, they memorize it fast. Creating a positive ambience is another thing that we can all provide as parents at home. And also, being there, as I mentioned before as well, emotionally, physically, have a meaningful discussion, have a meaningful dialogue, understand them, what they go through just before the exams. Maybe a small chit chat during the breaks, maybe a small game, during those breaks. So this can all refresh their mind and
Understood,
ensure
sir.
that they sleep well. It's a very calm and cool place at home. I understand it's not as easy as said, but it's all about creating that kind of mindset at home. It's just exams. It's not end of life, as I said. So just be cool and give proper focus on these things, as I mentioned: food, sleep, breaks, and ensuring that they stick to the plan, because the study part has to happen just much before the exams. And that
Understood,
is
sir.
when we all will be saying, when you are taking up, as we all as professionals, when you take up a project, we know how we do a project, right? It has got different phases. We go through different phases. Exams also are going through the same angle. So they have different phases, a planning phase. So you prioritize things, you study well, you revise. And during the exam, it's all about keeping yourself calm, keeping yourself fit for tomorrow's exam. And that comes when you have proper sleep, proper diet, all those things, and then the results, answers come naturally. That's what it is all about.
As they say, the beauty is always in the details, and bifurcating the overall process into fragments, as you rightly put forward, the year-long plan as a parent, whom the listeners can look in for this very significant detail, what Murli sir is telling exactly. Looking for the diet plan, the sleep routines, the breaks which the child is going through, and dialogue where they are going and how they are going. I think these are going to be the key, especially during the critical part or the exam time, because that is understandably the most crucial phase as far as the execution is concerned of the overall plan. That is
If I come back to that thing, it's a known fact that we perform well when we are not under stress.
exactly, sir.
So if you want your child to perform well, it's our duty to ensure that there is no stress that he or she go through. So
Exactly, sir.
provide them whatever they want so that you ensure that they are stress free.
Exactly, sir. So that sums it up. You make an ambience as a parent so that the child is stress free from all corners. Excellent, sir. Now comes an element which is generally overlooked. That is the post exam. As a parent, generally what happens the moment when things are done, the pedal is again taken off from the accelerator. So how you feel as a parent they should be engaging with the child, sir, just immediately after the exam? What should be the do's and don'ts? Because once exams are done, everything cuts loose, things go haphazard, and many things can turn upside down, sir. What do you feel should be the do's and don'ts as a parent just after the examination, sir?
Yeah, but again, just after the examinations, it's all about, I would like to bring the same old thing that I said before. It's all about ownership and responsibility. So after exam, have an open discussion with them. Check with them, how they did without any comparison. Don't compare with others. Don't judge with others. Don't even ask how much mark you're going to get.
Understood,
Ask
sir.
them what you felt, how you performed in your exam, what you felt that you could have done better. Okay, those kind of things you can, without discussing about how much you are going to score. Is it 100 out of 100 or it's 98 out of 100? Those things are immaterial because exam already done. Exam is already
Over.
gone. Now whatever is there will come. So let it take its own course. But try to be, maybe after exam they may have done well, they would not have done well. So it is your duty as a parent to be with them again and take them through. But in the process, ensure that they take the ownership of it. Like
Understood.
current generation students, they are all smart enough to understand what went right and what went wrong. So try to take it from themselves, understand them, what did, what went well and what didn't, and they
Understood, sir.
themselves will tell you, and try to see where you can support them. Some of them, they maybe children are struggling. As I said, unfortunately our education system is in such a way that the yardstick is same for all.
Agree, sir.
I remember a cartoon where there are so many animals there: cat, dog, elephant, a bird, a monkey, and all, and the exam is there to climb a tree. Okay, so unfortunately, that's how we write exams these days. But that's when all these things are already inbuilt, because there could be challenges. Some of them some could be easy for them, some will be difficult for them. So understand what they feel like, and in the process, ensure that they take the ownership of it. Let them tell how can they make it better next time, because whatever is to happen has already happened. Exam is gone. So now
Understood,
it's
sir.
all about, and one exam is not the end of life, right? So it's all
Agreed, sir.
about, inspiring them, motivating them to make that journey forward. So
Very true.
so it's all about helping them. So be with them, understand them. Maybe they are happy, maybe they didn't do well. So be with them and take them through. So that's what. And please don't talk about marks, or please don't talk about any comparison or judging with other people. In a nutshell, just see how they felt, and ensure that they take the ownership of it.
Got it, sir. Thank you for taking us through that very insightful discussion today, sir. The parents for all grades, starting from kindergarten till university, I think that could have been a great takeaway. Be with them, spend your time, be an inspiration to the children rather being just in comparison material, and also try to keep them in a stress-free zone and set out a plan for the whole year. Don't just be active on 1 month or just 15 days prior to the examinations, and be realistic, engage and work as a unit. I think these are all very powerful messages, sir, which every parent out there can make a note of, because that is what this mind race is intending, just to be that tool which can light up the deeper thoughts which are there within, probably not looked with and purpose of evoking in the right direction. Thank you, sir, once again for shedding light on various aspects of the ecosystem with respect to exams. The most important aspect, I must say so, if it is the parents, and you have shed a very important and insightful process of being with them, inspiring them, sir. Thank you once again, sir.
Thank you, Bala. Just before we close, just one more point I would like to add. We are talking about exams and exam stress. there are always like, stress can always be divided into two parts, a good stress and bad stress. Maybe I thought I would just
Sure, sir.
like to emphasize this point. Why? Because it helps all of us a lot to understand what a good, because stress is also required. Some kind of good stress is required, which helps us to, improve, do better each time. And how we can identify a good stress and bad stress is, good stress is those stress that we, whoever is doing, in this case, children, they feel that it's doable. They
True,
feel
sir.
that it's temporary and it's not going to last forever. So, if you can define a good stress, this stress is required for each one of us to perform better. But if your child feels that it is impossible, it is not doable, it is beyond realistic thing, then it's going to be a bad stress, which is going to affect the health, and this could be permanent. So,
Agree, sir.
understanding the difference between good stress and bad stress is also very important. A bit of good stress is always encouraging and it is challenging. It helps us to be always challenged challenges. So
Understood, sir.
that's what I would like to add here, so that we
Thank,
all can differentiate what a good and bad stress is, and good stress is always helpful to for all of us to perform better.
Indeed, sir. A good stress can bring the best out of the individual, just raising that bar a little bit, especially so that you can bring the best out of you. Thank you, sir, for shedding the light even on the good stress and bad stress part. So, dear viewers, and especially the parents, for this week's Mind Race, I guess the attempt has been served to help everyone prepare for this year and the next year, because it is a continual process. And what is the key is what we learn as a unit. It is always there for an opportunity for every one of us to improve. And that is what Mindray is intending to do so as well, lighting up the world through the programs from Mindrays. So here we sign off for this week, helping parents to prepare for the examinations. Next week, we'll be back with yet another insightful and interesting topic so that we can light up the world. Thank you once again, and thank you, Murli sir, for sharing your thoughts and views.
Thank you all once again for being with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, sir. So
And
till
wishing
we
all the students and parents the very best, since the exams are going on.
exactly, sir. So wishing the parents and the students one more time all the best. And we are signing off for this week. We'll be back next week with an insightful topic. Till then, take care, stay safe, and happy exams.